we are good to go. So just to repeat a bit, this is like web, like YouTube page. Let's say you work for YouTube and you want to build it. It's a brand, because I don't know if you know, YouTube was built by 3 people, and Google bought it, so it's not their product. Well, it's their product, but just let's say we are them and we are trying to build another startup now or something. So this is how you build it traditionally. You will have like a huge HTML with all the stuff, header, footer, comments, and after that you add JavaScript as we discussed. This is fine for simple website that we used to build, and we do server-side rendering. That means that you have like separate pages, one for home, one for profile, and one for, so you have like smaller pages as we discussed. And it's fine to do it this way because you will have like smaller pages. But nowadays, web applications are super complex. If you see like, it's a one-page application, so you click this, this will appear, you click this will hide. You can even run like Figma and stuff, like design tools on the web. Like you see YouTube or Facebook Messenger, you click and you use the keyboard and stuff. It's super complex. So this one, imagine like all the interaction here in just one file, that would be quite difficult. So this is like the introduction for the component model. What does the component model means? Instead of like thinking about your application in terms of one page, one JS, no, you think about it in components. What I mean by components, it's like reusable pieces of code. And these components will host their JavaScript and their HTML, and maybe also their CSS, we don't know. But it's like this HTML, the menu with the YouTube logo, with all this stuff, plus the click listener for this and this and this. And we have the video with the click listeners and stuff, and we have the comments, we fetch the comments, we loop through now. If I want to display this comments in another page, I will just copy this component and put it there. I don't need to steal the code from here, because if I was in this one, and I want to reuse this part, or the video part, I need to dig into my code and like, there's event listener everywhere, maybe it's in the window, and like, it will be too difficult. But this, it's more encapsulated. Why? So this header, it doesn't know exactly where it's put. You can put a header here and another header here. No one cares. So this is the purpose of the component model. So you have self-contained pieces of code. It's like functions. When you have a function that does fetch or something, you can actually reuse it easily, compared to having a piece of code and copying it. A for loop with, so you put it into a function and you call the function of the parameters. So this is exactly the purpose of the component model. And it's scalable. What I mean by scalable, scalable is not in terms of fast. Scalable is in terms of development. So the more your website will become complex, like YouTube now, you will add, for example, let's say you want, the new feature that was landed to YouTube was actually making this video smaller here. I don't know if you saw it before. Yeah. So that's quite easy. You just take the video component and you make the size small and you put it there. But if you wanted to do it with this one, like all the CSS here, how to do with it. So this is the purpose of the component model. And this is a more theoretical perspective, and the practical perspective is having this. You will build this. So you will have like a header component. It's like a header in HTML. So, and you have video, and you have video details. So video details doesn't exist, or comment doesn't exist in HTML tags. But you will build it using JavaScript and using frameworks like React, like any framework you can think about. There is no, you could be like after Hacky Feature, you could be working with Vue or Angular. It doesn't matter. It's a component model. They all follow these principles because this is good software engineering. Like good principles about code reusability. You will need it everywhere. It's not just about code development.
Can I ask you a question? Can I rename it to header to something else, like your name?
Yes.
Yes, that's an our. So all the things, the component that we created is our freedom. The best practice is to make it more realistic. Yeah. Like here is header. If I put here my name, then
actually, Eunice, what's this?
So it's all about our design, our freedom, our power. Okay.
Precisely. So this is really important because now we have freedom. Actually, as we said, you can move this there, you can name it, you can use whatever code inside it. So you are not really limited to anything. And as we said, there's a lot of frameworks that does that. Vue, Angular, React. React is quite famous. Vue too. But there is even now the web components. So the web component, it's a new spec. So when you open the browser and you say fetch, it's something that is provided by the browser. Document, it's something that is created by the browser. It's not you are creating it or some other developers. No, it's by default in the browser. But React, for example, no. It's something written by Facebook or developers at Facebook, and we put it. So it's additional code. It's not code that is provided by the browser itself. So now, even inside the browser, we have the web component spec. I think it's called the web component registry. Yeah. So this is an example of actually building these components using the standard way. So, do I have internet or the internet is shitty? What's the definition? Yeah, so we can say the custom element. I'm sorry about that. So it's the window. So you can register custom element and stuff. So this is the this is an API actually. So it's inside the. It's not well supported. Well, now it's supported because we can polyfill it. We will discuss polyfills after. But it's so just to see that this component model, it's even taking the web itself, even the standard itself. So do you have any question about?
I have this question. You know, before you start to code the React, you will design this website as it is with the HTML.
Yes.
No, because so we said here that everything is HTML, and there's an HTML file and there is index.js file.
Yeah.
Here you will have like a piece of JavaScript and a piece of HTML here. Piece of JavaScript and a piece of HTML here.
Yeah.
Piece of JavaScript and a piece of HTML here.
Yeah.
So this one doesn't know about this one, and this one doesn't know about this one. Why? You tell me, but why? You need to write HTML. Yeah, but you write it in JavaScript. So you remember when you were using? So when you remember when you had the exercise about the movies, where you need to list the movies. So it's an empty URL, but you create an ally and you put the movie name, text content, and you append it to the URL. This is what we will be doing, but not manually. React will do all this stuff from us.
So the style that we needed, we have to add it before to put it in the website.
Style?
Yes, because
we will not discuss CSS. You mean the style CSS?
Yes.
CSS, it's not really a problem here. It's a long debate, but you can have your index.css separate. CSS is not the problem. If it's a problem, we can discuss alternatives like CSS and JS after and CSS models and stuff.
At the same time, we have to add the style or no. When we finish the components, then we can add the.
Yeah, for example, let's say this component called header.
Okay.
And this component called video.
Yeah.
And this component has a div tag with class header.
Yeah.
And this component has a div tag with a video header.
Yeah.
You have a style where there is like a header, dot header, CSS, and dot video CSS, and you style header. But there is a lot of alternative to actually even encapsulate CSS here, inside it. So CSS will not go outside. So the CSS of this class, we define it inside this class. But this is kind of a long discussion, and it's not really relevant because I would say CSS is easy and it's easy to understand. But what?
It's easy, but no.
Yeah, but definitely we will go into more examples, and we will see. We have 5 weeks. Don't rush it. So, but the most important thing that it's really like kind of difficult is CSS and JavaScript. Sorry, HTML and JavaScript. So you will build the header, and the header will have like some HTML and some JavaScript inside it. Any more questions? I don't know. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is an introduction to the component model, and React is just a way so we can build our tags. And of course, render them, as Shane was said, to the browser. Because the idea about building these video tags and stuff and video lists, they don't exist on the browser. If you will write video tag on the browser, it will say, what's this? But React will help us build this and render it to the DOM, to the browser. Is it clear? So this is the no.
The internet problem today, huh?
Yeah. So this is the official React website. It's called reactjs.org. So there is a lot of guidelines, tutorials, especially in like nowadays, they are really filling it with a lot of examples and stuff. This is an example of a component. This is an example of a component. Can someone look here and see? This is an example of a component. So,
Frida. Oh, okay.
Can you?
so what it's saying here is like, so let's not mention this part, but we have, this is a class, we give it a name, and essentially the name is what we use here, the header and the video. So this is what name, so we can name it video list. And we say extend React component.
Make it a component.
We will make it a component by extending a component and inheriting some features from it. I don't know if you are familiar with the extend keyword here.
Yeah, on the class.
A bit.
When you want
What?
to take.
Yeah, but are you all familiar with it?
No,
Okay, so we will discuss it. Don't worry. We will have some time to discuss it. No, almost now. And after that, we define the render. It's just a function inside the or a method, name it how you call it. Render inside the component, hello component, and this will return this thing. So we are returning HTML inside JavaScript. This is technically an error syntax.
Yeah.
Because if you will write this, x equal div. This is error. So they are displaying errors here? No. So there is a trick here. So you return something that looks like HTML, but it's not HTML. It's called JSX, JavaScript XML. We will get into more details about it, but just the thing that you need to understand is this will be converted to JavaScript, not by you, but by React or by Babel. We will. So
it's like when you do the dollar with the brackets and you take the JavaScript inside the HTML, isn't it?
No.
Template variables, right? When you do the packages and you put the dollar sign, then you can post object variables and stuff inside. It's not really the same.
But that's a good kind of abstraction. Some people use that, but it's not real.
But what I'm thinking that no need to match with jQuery and JavaScript with pure React. So take the React idea first, then I think you will see the difference. But initially, if you would like to match everything with jQuery and JavaScript, then it will be faster.
Exactly.
So just make your mind that okay, there is nothing. You know nothing, but you can relate it definitely later.
Yeah, and this is the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Like if you are learning anything new, don't be bounded to your background. Don't be bounded to your context. Because you are like if you try to like read with the right, write with the right or the left, it will be so difficult for you because you are bounded to the other right. So after you understand the whole concept, you can start to relate to it at the end. Oh, this is what I was doing. But in the beginning, if you start to relate everything, because it's called an abstraction. So there's a layer that it's hidden. It's really hidden for all of us. We don't understand what the React code is doing. So it's a hidden abstraction. We just use it. We are the consumers of React. Like we are the consumer. Like we never ask how fetch works, how create element works. You know what I mean? It's an abstraction. I use it. It doesn't matter how it works. So we will take React this way. So now I will. So are you familiar with a tool called Babel or Babel? Or depends on your background. How you call it?
Change to the HTML tags. It's converted.
Yeah, that's a use case. That's definitely a use case. But Babel is more than that. So what Babel or Babel or some people like this stuff like, oh, you should not say Babel. But anyways, Babel. So what this tool is really for is transpiling JavaScript. What I mean by transpiling JavaScript is like just a word, converting the code. Why? So this tool appears one time when there was ES6. Remember classes and arrow functions and stuff? These stuff were new. And a lot of old browsers, they don't support it. You get the idea? Or because arrow function was like introduced at 2014 or 13, Internet Explorer is like 2009, so they don't understand it. But the new browser understands it. So Babel is a way to actually transpile this code. This is just one use case of Babel, transpiling code from old to new. So if I will do const x.
Would you please make it bigger?
No.
Yeah.
So this is sample code, and this is the result. So you can see that const was replaced by var, and a row function was replaced by a normal function. Why? So we can support more browsers. But this is not an issue now, because a row functions are supported everywhere. But just
can you explain what was this website again?
This is called Babel or Bubble. This tool, this yellow tool, it converts your code from this to an older code.
To older code?
Yes, or a newer code. This is one use case. Yeah. So if you have a class, X, it will create here a class that it's a function and it's using constructor function. You don't understand this. No one understands this. No one is interested in understanding this. Life is too short. But your code is converted to something that it doesn't have a class keyword, so it can be used in the old browser. Okay? Is it clear? Like no one understands. I don't understand. We don't need to understand. Okay? But it's just a constructor function. Is it clear? So we saw that we can convert var and stuff. So mainly Babel is just a tool that we will not use it, but it will be used under the hood. An interview question, you will get this question on. So this is just something that converts the code.
It's like library, yes?
It's a library. Literally,
it's not JS to the.
Sorry?
We add Babel
to the dev dependencies precisely. So it's a library that is used to compile our code, to transpile our code. What I mean by transpiling is just converting our code from X to Y. We could have the arrow function and make it a function, or we can do the reverse. Maybe have a function that is a normal function and make it a row. So we can actually use Babel not to transpile from old to new. We can also use it from new to old. It doesn't matter, but we can transpile code from X to Y. In our case, we are using it from old to new, but this is just one use case. We could do a lot of stuff. And you can build your own plugins to understand the topic. Right. So what does React do? So let's say, const x equal a div. So this will look like this instead. So React will say, create me a div element. If we will give it hello here, it will be hello inside the text. And if we will give it a class here, let's give it an ID instead. Test. So essentially, everything that looks like a div in React, it will be converted to a function call. It's called React.createElement. It looks like document.createElement. But it's the React one. But it doesn't matter what it's doing. No one cares. Life is too short. But it takes 3 parameters. The name that you are creating, div. So if I put here span and ID 3, this will be create element. What we want to create a span. So this is an object that hosts all the attributes or the props. In React they call it props, properties.
You call it props here, yes?
Yes, so these are properties or attributes. Call them, it doesn't matter what's the name, no one will say. And after that, what's inside? It's the third parameter. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So this code here.
Maybe can I just bring one point quickly?
Yeah.
Because we talked about the dollar sign notation before with the template levels. Actually, there's one similarity if we go back to the React documentation.
Oh yeah.
Actually, you can see that something is passed in, but it doesn't matter right now. But the point is that it says hello, and then something is passed in, and it displays Taylor. So actually, you can imagine this being like the dollar sign right here, and then it says student or object, whatever, .name. It displays the name here. So this is dynamic, right? Because somebody called this component and said, okay, name is equal to Taylor. Maybe another place in the code, they passed in name is equal to Christopher, and it would render hello Christopher. So this is a dynamic data, and it changes like where it's called and what you pass in.
Precisely. So it's a way to, as he said, like it's a way to parameterize like functions. Is this clear? This is more of details. I would say if you go for an interview, if you know this, you will really like kind of make the interviewer, oh shit, he knows a lot, because you know how React under the hood. That's quite cool, but it's not relevant at all. This will not help you build anything. This is more of a knowledge that it's useful, but it's not useful at the same time. I don't know if Shenwaz and Christopher agree with me.
Yeah, it depends, but anyway.
Yeah, but most of the time you will not.
Yeah.
Like this is good to understand, but it will not help you build.
So we are not going to use this.
No, we will build these things. We will use these things.
Okay, we just okay.
But I'm just trying to like show you how it will be at the end. So if someone will say, but this is not just valid JavaScript, but React will convert it to valid JavaScript. Okay, so you just like catch your mind around the things. And yeah. So this is an example. If we can make it complex, we can put actually X here. So we can say, I will name it capital X. So you can say here that this span now has hello and another React element. Because now it has two children, hello and this. So instead of just passing one children, we are passing two, hello and React create. Okay, so we can nest that. And this one create element, the third parameter can take another component. It's like it will be like a tree, like the HTML tree. Is it clear? Cool.
So it's like that you inside inside the X you are writing again.
Exactly.
Div, and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Inside the third parameter will be like component and so on and so on. Clear? Cool. If you have any questions, just stop me, please. And if it's not relevant for you, just say, well, this is not relevant to me. So let's open JSPen.
Can I ask you just one question?
Yeah, of course.
Can you delete the ID equal test from the second one, from the first one? Yeah, just delete it. Okay. So the null is for the object. Every time.
The null is for the attributes. If it has an attribute, it will be an object. If it doesn't, it will be just null.
No. Okay.
Okay. So if we pass this here, this null at the end, it will be an object. So just like, and we can pass multiple objects.
Because I thought that you created as a const and it doesn't give you any error.
What?
You created as a const and it doesn't give you any error when you add a new attribute on the code.
Yeah, because this is like a function. I'm calling the function.
Ah.
You can see that it's React that create element.
We add class also.
Yeah, we can say class test. We can say value equal.
Everything.
It's attributes, normal attributes. Yeah, and that will be object. But this is, as we said, it's not really relevant, at least for us now. After maybe, but. So this is some JSPen. So now I will try to explain the concept of a class. Okay, so we can just get a refresh. So some people who like forget about it.
What is the spell file?
It's called JSPen.
GS.
Yeah.
In the online editor.
Shitty online editor that doesn't have any feature. No, but a huge respect. It's really. It's good. It's not that good. It's good. Good enough. Good enough. So let's start by creating class. Let's call the class shape. Okay. And so this is class shape. Or do you have like a better example?
No. Please proceed.
No, because like this is a shitty example. I don't know.
I think it's fine.
It's fine?
I don't know what they're trying to do afterwards.
It's the inheritance shape and rectangle that extend the shape.
Yeah,
That's a good example.
Do you think it's a good example?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
square area.
Yeah.
Area.
Precisely. So this is a class called shape. We define a constructor. Okay. Let's take name of the shape. And we say this dot name equal name. Is this clear? How we use this? We use const c or anything new shape, and we pass it something. Let's say shape.
The most give another name.
No, I like the name.
Badr.
You are a shape? I didn't know that you are a shape. You look like a shape. You look like a shape. So yeah, this is how we use it. So now when you invoke with the new, first thing, you cannot invoke class like this. You need the new. This is something to keep in mind. So you have a new, and after that, when you say new shape, the constructor function would be called.
Yeah.
And whenever you pass it here, it's like a function, you get it, and you assign it to this. Clear?
Yeah.
Now let's say we have a special shape. Say class square. So now, instead of defining name and stuff, or let's say here, for example, display name. Okay? Display name is a function or a method, and it just console.log. Let's use template literally. Hello, this dot name. Is this clear?
Yes.
Template later or something? Clear. So we can say here now c dot display name. Clear?
Yeah.
So now let's say I want to build a square class, and I don't want to actually write my own display name and write my own name and stuff because it's the same shape technically. Okay, so I want to reuse code. So I can extend shape. Okay, and I define my constructor. Every class needs to define constructor. Not every time, but it's a good habit. I always mistype this. Okay, now we have name. So maybe we can use this dot name equal name. Yeah, but
that extends to the shape is the same as the first class. That shape.
Yes, we are extending this class because this refers to a variable. If it doesn't exist, it would blow up.
Well, it comes from the shape, so it's necessary to give a name again.
Yeah, exactly. So we are repeating code. Even we are extending shape. So a trick that we use in object-oriented mode, we call it the super keyword. So we can use super and say name. What does that? It will go and call the parent constructor. So what's my parent here? It's shape. This is the constructor of shape. We will call this with the name, this dot name. Okay? So now if I will say, instead of creating a shape, I will create a square. Okay? And it will still work fine. Without writing a lot of code. I can call display name on the square, even though there is no display name on the square.
Yeah, because you're extending, so you're
because I'm extending,
yes, taking the method from the mother class.
Yeah, exactly. Or the parent class. I don't know how you would call it. Yeah, it's a subclass. Yes, it's more specialized version. Clear? Question?
But in this case, if you want the square have another name,
we
can call it super.
No. I can say test.
Oh, so you're just using it to avoid the repeat of.
This is what we are trying to say with the programming word. Repeat it. We don't want to repeat. This is the whole idea about abstraction. Is it clear?
Yes.
Do you have questions?
So super is related to the shape.
True. No, there's no stupid question,
If
please.
we have like some new, new class extent of square,
Yeah.
with how I can constructor of shape. Or,
You mean you want to call the constructor of shape?
yeah.
We are calling it here.
Yeah, I understand. If we have like
What?
extend square.
Oh, you want to extend square?
Yeah.
Square 2. Square 2.
You extend.
Extend to
Extend square.
Yeah.
It's like a chain. It's like a chain.
Like chain. So square will inherit from square. Square 2 will inherit from square. And when you call square 2, it will call super. Super of this square, which is mean this one, and this one will call this one. It's like a chain.
It's clear.
It's clear?
Yeah.
Cool. But this is not a stupid question. This is the most confusing thing ever. I at least me, I spent like 3 years in college.
Yeah, you
trying to understand
you can't extend more classes.
What do you mean?
So it means
Well,
multiple
you have two different classes with two different things, and you want a third class with extend.
So you want one class to inherit from two classes?
Yeah.
No, you cannot do it in JavaScript, but it's doable in other languages. In JavaScript, you can.
It's because the people who designed JavaScript, they took a lot of these object-oriented concepts from Java, and in Java you can implement more interfaces. If you do interfaces, you can only extend from one class. Yeah. There are other languages like C++ or something like that where you can extend from more classes. But the people who designed Java chose that you can only extend from one class.
Yeah.
That's some reason.
That's good. That's good.
And actually, it is good
It's
because
good.
in practical life, actually, there are very few requirement to extend from multiple class. Actually, if you are really following object-oriented principles, there are less possibility to use that kind of thing. So you can ask, but practically, very rare case you come up with that situation that you need to inherit from two different classes. Actually, so yeah.
But you can do it probably in another way. You can achieve to.
Definitely, you can. I will tell you something. Classes here are just fake things. These are not real. I don't know how to say it, but JavaScript. This is object-oriented. This is the classical object-oriented programming. This is an abstraction over the prototype inheritance in JavaScript. So JavaScript has something called prototype inheritance. I advise you to go and take a look at it. It's really frequent in job interviews, and they ask a lot about it. But just go and look at it. So what does it mean? What does it mean really? It means that this one is not inheriting from this one. These are objects that are linked, and there is no classes in JavaScript. These are just functions. Okay, this is a whole if you really want to understand it, go and just follow some tutorials about prototyping inheritance in JavaScript. Just to say that trying to relate JavaScript to other languages, it's a bit difficult. And a lot of people fall into this, including me, because I was coming from a Java background too, and I was like, what? What the fuck is happening? Why it's not working? But yeah. But overall, is it clear that we have classes? So here is not really obvious, but if you have a class, for example, that is super complex, a class that does, I don't know, really kind of like React, it does a lot of rendering and stuff, you can actually extend the React, like here. Extend the React component. And this means just, so let's say const s equal class, or let's say x shape. And this is just doing this. So the dot here doesn't mean anything. We're just putting the class inside an object. And when we say s.shape, we just refer to the same. Okay? It's not really relevant. So
just categorize.
yeah, kind of like just more of abstraction. So React.component means just there's an object called React, and it has a class called component. Because an object can host anything, from functions to classes to booleans to other objects. What?
Object destructor.
We will talk about object destruction, but this is not. We can remove this with object destruction. But this is just an object with the class inside it. So there's nothing special here. You can like JavaScript is crazy. You can even extend like or null or something. It's crazy. But anyways, is it clear the purpose of inheritance and stuff?
Are you going to use this code in a practical example?
We will have 5 weeks of practical examples. But
It
it's just
is
like
your job to make all possible exercise, like do whatever you want and just come up with the difficulties and just ask.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the purpose why I'm just explaining this in a simple way, because if I would start teaching React and at the same time explaining Super, you will have 2 things to understand at the same time, which is not cool. So I'm just trying to clear the path now. So whenever we enter React now, everything is clear. I know what Super means, I know what this means. And there is one more thing left to go and like actually code React, which is binding. Yes. So I will copy this and yeah. Don't worry.
Thank you that we share the code.
Okay. So we are done. Somehow with object oriented. I need to explain one more topic, and we can go to coding. Okay? We are coding actually. I'm coding. I'm the only one finished. So let's say I have an object const object. Okay, with the name and display name.
This window because of technology. I love it.
Creepy sound. So this is display name is a function. Okay. No, I'm mixing error functions. So let's say console.log.
We're gonna die here.
This.name. Make sense?
Yes.
It's an object with a name and a function. And if we say object dot display name,
But you need to give a name.
no, it's referencing this dot name inside.
Yes, but in the parentheses, after that name, you have to give name.
So the name is already defined inside the object.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
It's not a class.
Yes, you're
Sorry for confusing you. Sorry, it's not a class.
Too much.
So this should say hello test.
your
Yes, it will say just units. Clear?
yeah.
So the this here is referring to what? To this object. Why? It's referring to this object.
Because
This
But why? Yeah, I know. But why this is referring to this object?
Because this is always shows an object in this scope. It's always. Sorry, I'm not.
No. You are all right. Actually, that I understand perfectly. You are saying that this object, it's because it's inside this object. No. This is a famous misconception about JavaScript, and people from other languages, like me, will really I got confused by this. So why the this is referring to object? Because we are calling display name with an object before it. So it's called inside it. So object dot display name. So the thing that it's before the function invocation will set the this. Okay?
like you do an object that name.
Yeah. Exactly. So so let's say another thing. So let's say I have let's say I have const object 2 with name butter. Okay, you are famous today. Okay, I will say object 2 dot display
It doesn't work.
name equal
Okay, just a minute.
Now it's
It will
defined.
show yours.
No, now it's defined.
No, you can do that now.
But do you get the idea? I got the function, so I can do this to be. I can do this.
like the extending.
I can do this. I can do display name. You get the idea?
No, but
This just a second. This display name. It's just a key,
Yeah.
and the value it's this function.
Yeah.
Yeah, but object it will not tell you that it's not declared. That,
But it
you
will
don't
show
have to.
yours.
You don't have to extend it.
Huh?
So let's run it. It will show, but
Because the disk keyword refers to the disk.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
means that you use a component in another component.
we are not a forget about components now. It's JavaScript.
Yeah.
No, it's not a class. These are just
The
objects.
object in another object.
So I'm using a function from another object. But what's really important, as you said, is you said that. So now, if I follow your way of thinking, that means that this should not print button. It should print units, because display name was defined inside units.
Yes.
So I'm just referencing it here. But that's not the case. Why? Because JavaScript. So the this inside JavaScript defines it follows the invocation. So who will invoke me or call the function is responsible for my this. So it's not where I'm defined. It's who's calling me. You got the idea?
Yeah.
So it's not about where I'm defined.
Okay.
It's about who's calling me.
Okay.
So who's calling me will define the this. Let's go even deeper. So let's say set timeout. Run it after.
It means this. It's like call parent. Something like that.
Yeah, a context. It means the context that it's wrapping the function. Yes, it's like a parent or it's a context, like where I am, kind of. It's like I'm in a room, but which house? So the house is the context. So you can say here, you can see here that
You have to declare it as a function.
Yeah, you have
You have to do the bracket.
parentheses,
The bracket on the display name.
parentheses around display name.
which display name? Here?
Bracket.
Inside the set timeout.
Here?
Yeah.
The round bracket.
No.
Parentheses. You need parentheses
No.
after display.
So you can see here that no, I'm just passing a function here. I'm not calling a function. I'm passing a function to set timeout. Okay. So now you can see that JSPN output. This is just because we are in JSPN, but there is no name. So if I will print this, it's not my object. It's something else. So what's happening? So I'm passing like object the display name, and this dot name is not appearing. Why?
There's nothing in.
Because
When you call
you have a 1 second time, and before that, this is from another object. It's not for the display name is from another object. It's not for this object.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think that did accept your object and it is that it is doing a fast time and it is that it doesn't contain anything. Then you call it after 1 second and it doesn't have anything inside.
No.
Because const object 2, it will render 1 second after the const object.
There's nothing about timing here. I'm sorry. It's not about the timing. Set timeout is just an example. It's not about the timing. Forget about the timing. Forget about the timing. I will explain to you why.
Sorry?
JSPN output in the.
So
This is just
That is because it renders nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing to be.
forget about this. We don't have a name. We want a name, and it's not a name. There's no trick here. I will try to explain. Because, so the way you should think about set timeout, so let's define set timeout in the browser. Set timeout, it will take a function, so callback and time, wait for time. So this is what set timeout is technically doing. It's taking the time, waiting for it. After that, it will call your callback. So who's calling the callback here? Is it me? It's a set timeout. And is there any object before it? Something dot set timeout? Something dot display name? No. Display name is a function, and it's called here. So it's called without the parent or without the object here. So it doesn't have a context. This is why it doesn't have a name. It's referring to another context. Because it was called by someone else, not by me.
And set timeout doesn't have anything referred to the...
Exactly. Usually it refers to the window, but that depends on if it's used straight or not, but it doesn't, yes. You should think about it so the way you should understand,
I didn't understand. What's that?
Yeah. So set timeout is kind of this. It will wait for X time, and after that call the callback that you give it to it for the first time. It's like simplification of set timeout.
Okay.
So set time.
This callback is just defined inside the set timeout.
No, this callback is passed to the set timeout, like this one.
Yeah.
And this is the callback, and we call it after. So who's calling the set time? Who's calling this callback? Object display name. Is it me? No, the set timeout. So if it's not me who's calling the function, that means that I have no guarantee about the disk. Because who's calling the function can't define the disk. You got the idea?
Well, if you don't, then we can proceed and let's see that whether we can understand the whole thing better. Yeah.
But
That's why you don't do the round bracket.
yeah, because I'm just passing it.
Yeah.
This is confusing, but yeah, this is one of the hardest thing in the etc. So it's not really your fault. It's bad design, to be honest. Yes.
But can anyone tell that what is the purpose of this disk? That forget about the set timeout function. Who is calling this?
Me calling.
No.
Yeah.
No, another disk.
Function called this.
The disk keyword refers to the declared variable like object 2. When you say this, like you say this dot name, it refers to the name declared object. Because as the variable is declared, you use the disk keyword refers to that object. If it comes to object 2, you use the disk keyword refers to it.
Well, this becomes this. Make it simple. Just keep in mind that who is calling me. Okay?
Yeah.
Then make it very simple. Just concentrate. If you would like to really know, okay, who is calling this? That is the this. So just to make it more simple.
Yeah.
But we'll use this several times, so then it will be clear.
Yeah, precisely. As he said, who's calling the function? Who's calling me? Defines this, not where I define. Okay? Clear? A bit, of
But
course.
if it is not clear,
Yeah.
don't be sad.
This
Don't be
is
sad. Yeah?
this is not something that you can understand. It's like it's a practical thing that you need to practice a lot to understand. We are just trying to open your eyes toward the problem that you can have. Okay. So I would also copy this. So now I can say mostly we are done with the basics and we can start like coding.
Congratulations.
Yes. So far so good. So to start coding React, I told you that we need like to convert the code and dot things and stuff, and so we don't want to do it alone. Okay? So there is a tool that's called Create React App. Okay? You install it in your computer, and it will create a React app for you with everything set up, so you can jump and start coding straight away. So we will use this.
Like
Because, yeah, exactly, like Express, because life is too short, man.
Yeah.
We don't want to waste time. So I already installed React Create App, but I can say Create React App. it's by Facebook, so it's quite supported by the React team. They use the MPX now.
If you don't have to install it globally, then
I think it's better.
Yeah.
So we don't really rush.
some people don't even like that you install globally.
Yeah, true.
We should write NPX.
Yeah,
Well, there are two options. First of all, you can this create React app is a command that understand that what to do. But the problem is, some developers don't even like to make this command globally. Like for example, if you write create React app, my simple app, then it will create an app called my simple app. But the problem is, some developers don't even like to add that create React app command globally. So if you don't like, then you use this npx create React app the app. Then if you frequently use this create React app, then best to mark that globally so that no matter what, I just type create React app the app and it will create out. So there are two options. So it's up to you what to do.
yeah, precisely. It's up to you, definitely.
I installed before, but how I should check that I have it or not?
Try to actually invoke it. Try to type it. Create React app.
Create React
And
app.
we created inside a folder, a new folder or something.
Up to you.
Then
It makes a folder for itself. So if you
Oh,
go
okay.
to write my app, it will make a folder called that with all the
But
files.
it's creating even a folder or just a
Yeah.
file?
So right now, this npx create my React app example. It makes a folder called app example inside his desktop folder. So wherever you type it, it makes a new folder.
Oh, okay. So it creates a folder and the file inside the folder.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so just
So I-
copy it.
Yeah, I will say go to where you want to put your project. I'm in desktop, so I will say npx. As Shenwa said, you can install it globally and stuff, but up to you. So I will say, but please, it's not really your turn now to code. You will have exercises. Okay, you will have enough time to exercise.
Just opening a regular
Yeah, if you
NPM?
Yeah, but it's because it's not an npm package, it's a command instead. So they use npx instead. That's the short explanation.
npx will download it and run it for you instead of you installing it and run it.
Yeah, so it's
npm will go to the
that's
internet, get it, run it, and you don't need to install it.
So then
I didn't understand. NPX, but
npx, it will just like, so instead of, because usually you need to install a package, and after that you run it. Like npm install create React app, create React app. npx will go to the internet,
both of them.
grab it,
The
run it.
API
And you don't even to have, you don't need to have it in your computer. If you have in a work computer, you are helping someone, you don't want to mess up with his computer, so just npx, it will create it for you.
You can click right here.
And now
Yeah, but please, no, you will have enough time to code after. Yeah, just finish.
so we don't have to code.
You will have, but just like I will show you
Now we're
something.
just watching. We'll help you afterwards with everything if you have issues with it or anything.
Yeah. So I'm creating an app now. So I say create React app, and I give it app example. This is the name of the app example. And it will take forever, almost.
it depends on your machine speed and
Yeah, but usually it takes about forever.
Google and see.
Please, sorry. We will have a 5-minute breaks in almost 5 minutes. So if you can just like sit. Or maybe we can take it now. So we don't wait for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we can.
So we can just take it. So you have a 5-minute